Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Marsh, Director of Communications for the City of Akron. We're here today to discuss the officer-involved shooting which occurred on Thursday, November 28th, leaving 15-year-old Jazmir Tucker deceased. Last night, we released several body-worn camera videos, as well as an in-car video from the incident. We also released statements from both Akron Mayor Malik and Police Chief Brian Harding. Today, we'd like to read you those statements and give media an opportunity to ask questions. We want to be clear. The state's Bureau of Criminal Investigation, known as BCI for short, is conducting an independent investigation of this incident. There are many questions that ultimately will not have answers until they have completed their investigation. We do not have any new information to share today, and we will be very limited on what we can answer at this time. But we wanted to give you an opportunity to hear from the mayor and the chief directly on this incident and to ask your questions. At this time, I'd like to welcome up Akron Mayor Shammas Malik.
Good morning. To lose someone in an officer-involved shooting is truly heartbreaking, especially someone so young. Jazmir was beloved by many people, and as I said last night, my heart is with his family, friends, and classmates as they deal with this tragedy. An officer's decision to use deadly force is the most consequential decision they can make, and the circumstances surrounding the use of deadly force demand a heightened scrutiny. Often in these incidents, viewing the officer-worn body camera footage and other available video helps to clarify circumstances and answer some questions. It can also raise additional questions. Last night, we released several videos from the incident. After viewing them, I am left with many serious questions. The two officers who initially responded did not activate their body cameras upon exiting the vehicle. At some point, the cameras were automatically activated due to the presence of a nearby cruiser with activated lights, and once activated, the cameras can automatically store 30 seconds of video without audio. So we have some video without audio of the shooting. So my initial questions are why the cameras were not activated by the officers and whether this violated the body-worn camera policy. This will be reviewed in our internal investigation. I also believe many will ask why the officers used rifles instead of handguns in responding to this incident. This will be something that we discuss more going forward, both in our internal investigation as well as part of our comprehensive review of use of force, including when and how different weapons are used. In hindsight, the amount of time that expired between the shooting and the initiation of physical aid to Jazmir is deeply troubling to me. I want to be clear that any unreasonable delay by police officers in rendering aid is unacceptable and has no place in Akron. This issue will be part of our internal investigation, but in the meantime, Chief Harding has instructed APD leadership to conduct roll call trainings immediately with all of our patrol officers regarding on-scene security and rendering aid. Due to the angle of the body cameras and the light shining on Jazmir after he was initially shot, it's hard to make out from the videos what exactly happened leading up to the shooting and immediately following it. A gun was recovered from his zipped up jacket pocket. Given that, why did the officer decide to use his weapon? That question will be the focus of the state's Bureau of Criminal Investigation, BCI, investigation, which began on the night of the shooting. Once BCI has completed its investigation, the results will be presented to the Ohio Attorney General's office for review and presentation to a grand jury of citizens here in Summit County. The grand jury will determine whether any criminal charges should be filed. When that process is complete, the full BCI investigation will be available to the public on the BCI website. Additionally, after the grand jury process, the city will conduct its internal investigation into the use of force and determine whether a violation occurred. As our community watches these videos, I know there will be many questions. I wish we had more answers to provide in this moment. There are many questions we are not able to answer until the BCI investigation is completed. We do know that 2 shell casings were recovered in the northeast portion of Miller South, and that those are being tested against the gun that was recovered. I think anytime we have young people in our community carrying weapons, we have to ask ourselves why, and we have to work to change that. While the BCI and grand jury investigation process, while the BCI and the grand jury process move forward, there are steps that the City of Akron must take now. This year, there have been several incidents involving use of force that have raised concerns. In recent months, I've shared plans to conduct a comprehensive review of Akron's use of force policy and practices, as well as agency culture. This is essential to ensuring effective and accountable policing in our community. Next week, I will share more details about this use of force review and how I believe this will translate into meaningful and systemic change. I have an enormous amount of respect for our officers and the challenging situations they face. So far this year, Akron police officers have recovered over 950 illegally carried guns in our community. And these situations thankfully did not result in loss of life. But this incident that we're talking about today did result in loss of life. And our focus must be on doing everything we can to improve our response in situations like this. That focus is my responsibility as mayor, and that is what our community deserves. Our community must have trust in our police department, and that requires accountability in specific incidents, and it requires strengthening our policy, practices, and culture. To any resident wishing to exercise their constitutional right to peacefully protest, protesting is a highly protected form of speech. We will do all we can to make space for that. We will also be prepared in the event that a protest becomes unlawful, in the event that there's damage to property or injury to others. Everyone has a right to protest, but no one has a right to endanger others. To those in our community who are hurting right now, I want you to know that I hear you. To those who are angry and frustrated, I hear you. And to those who want to see action, I view this as essential for our community, and it is my commitment to you that you will see it. Thank you.